Hi, this is Chico Resch. You are listening to the Let's Go Devils podcast on the Primetime Radio Network.
Happy Devils Friday! Take two. This is the Woo Report, episode 201, titled The Devils' First Stanley Cup. Streaming live on Facebook Live, YouTube Live, Twitter Live, and Twitch on the Primetime Radio Network. Ramona Rice says, "Let's go Devils, and please keep Brat." Or brought, whichever you like how to pronounce that. Alamota says, "Is it wrong for me to root for Tampa Bay to avenge our 2001 Stanley Cup final loss since they are playing a variation of our championship era style?" No, you know what? I'm going to like that comment because I've always said that 2001 Stanley Cup finals was rigged. Conspiracy theory galore. I feel like they rigged it for Ray Bork, and I don't blame you. I'm rooting for Tampa for that reason. I'm also rooting for Tampa because I think anytime you play the Colorado Avalanche Stanley Cup Finals, kind of reminds me of what they did to the Panthers. I was rooting for the Panthers then, obviously rooting for the New Jersey Devils in 2001. And I'm rooting for the Tampa Bay Lightning to have a three-peat. And hopefully it will extend the hockey season. Game 5 going on. You want to talk about Stanley Cup? Give you a little alternative. How about the Devils 27 years ago? 27 years ago. And let's flip to pucksandpitchforks.com. Luke Garrison writing about it. 27 years ago, Devils win first Stanley Cup. And I thought, hey, since this is a live video podcast, Friday night, figured, hey, show you some from the Star Ledger. You know, this is before, NJ.com and all that stuff. Look at that, Star Ledger. And you got some merch. This is Tuesday, June 27th, 1995. This is Modell's. Get your merch. Going back in time. For those listening in the car right now, I'm showing some old Devils newspapers. Again, Sunday Star Ledger, June 25th. They asked the question the day before Game 4 against the Detroit Red Wings. They said, are the Devils going to win? And it says, hell yes. Scott Stevens hoisting that cup, that iconic picture that Devils fans remember. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Star Ledger. Yeah, what else happened? The crowning moment. Jacques Lemaire's smile. Jerry Eisenberg at large. Remember that column? Rich Scher writes, goodbye, Broadway. Lord Stanley has moved to the suburbs. 12 months and 12 days after the Rangers won a championship that Devils coach Jacques Lemaire and his players believe could have been theirs, New Jersey captured its first Stanley Cup by completing a 4-game sweep of the Detroit Red Wings with the spirited 5-2 triumph last night in Meadowlands Arena. 19,040. Obviously they did that on purpose for the 1940 chance, if you remember. Also, the record, Bergen County. The cup stops here. You remember that? That gem. Ooh, a little autograph right there, Scott Stevens. Anybody recognize that photo? Or I'm sorry, that signature, Scott Stevens. The cup. Holding this up on the live video feed. The cup stops here to the Garden State. And on the back, it says teamwork. Teamwork, folks. Sweeping to the title. Teamwork. Look at that team photo, that iconic team photo of the New Jersey Devils. This is front page of the entire Star Ledger. Back then, it cost $1 for a newspaper. Front page, June 25th, 1995. Devils take it. Devils take it. Devils take it, and you got the big Stanley Cup on the side. Look at that. Joseph Lanham on the YouTube Live says the Devils were beasts in those playoffs. Absolutely. We'll talk about that. Just going over some memorabilia right here. You know what? It's really funny. NJ Pack. Look at the bottom of this. NJ Pack was just being built at that moment when the Devils were winning the Stanley Cup in Newark, before they moved to Newark. Isn't that interesting? Bill Clinton was the president of the United States back in those days. Also, I got another one. The record, June 25th, sports section. Hellraisers. Hellraisers. Claude Lemieux. Mr. Clutch in the playoffs. Hellraisers. Devils sweep across the ice with first Stanley Cup. Lemieux made habit of doing big things. And there were more things for him, for Pepe. And, yeah. And also another, last one, the Sunday record. Remember, it was a Sunday the next day after the Devils won. Look at that. Devils sweep. Devils sweep. And they're just going back in time. Going back in time and keeping these in the archives in the bunker studio in an undisclosed location in New Jersey. Priceless items in my collection. And do you have Devils memorabilia from that 95 Cup final? I actually got my friend, there's a long, funny story about it, but he lost his black, T-shirt that he got at the arena, the Devils 95 Cup, at the parking lot celebration parade. And he lost his shirt, and then I actually found one on Facebook Marketplace, I think. And anyway, he's got his T-shirt back. Anyway, so the Devils' first Stanley Cup. Back in those days, folks, there was a lot of unease about the Devils franchise, and Dr. McMullen talking to Nashville to possibly relocate the team after what had happened with the New Jersey Devils in 94, nevermore. And it was almost like that scene in Major League. And I can't repeat the quote, unfortunately, because there's a curse word in there. But it was, if you remember that movie Major League, when it was revealed to the manager, by the general manager, that it's going to be their last season. And the catcher, Jake Taylor, stands up. And he said something like, you know what this means? and pretty much win the whole thing. And I believe that Devils Stanley Cup team had a huge part in saving Devils hockey in New Jersey. I think back in those days, it was a big question mark. If you remember the parade, people were booing, especially at the governor at the time, Christy Todd Whitman, because they couldn't get a deal. I mean, the Devils were getting hosed by the NJSEA, the Meadowlands, and they were just trying, leveraging interest from other cities to get a better deal. I mean, that marriage that wasn't fun. It wasn't fun for the fans, especially towards the end there when the Devils moved to Newark. Nate says, I was too young to know the Devils won the Cup. I was old enough to witness the 2000, 2003. Yeah, I was about 16 years old. And you know what? I'll never forgive this person to this day. But I actually had a chance of going to that game 4. But the problem was I was a minor. And the only way I could have gotten a ticket was going through the newspapers. And there was an ad, people selling single game tickets, scalpers. And I answered one of those ads. It was $700 cash to get that ticket and meet them at the arena. And $700 cash as a 16-year-old kid, that was pretty much my entire piggy bank. But the second question was, how do I get a ride there? And the person that I knew that had a driver's license at the time had to go out on a date and couldn't drive me there. Anyway, long story short, wound up watching at a Stanley Cup party, using rabbit ears for antennas and aluminum foil, and made an aluminum tin foil Stanley Cup, all that stuff. And the Devils had won. And it was an upset. Remember the neutral zone trap? The big deal about the neutral zone trap? But, going through, they beat Boston, Randy McKay, the emergence of Randy McKay, the crash line, Bobby Holik, Mike Peluso. Then you had the homegrown kid, Jim Dowd, Stephane Richer, Claude Lemieux, Johnny McLean, Neil Broughton, Tom Chorsky, Sean Chambers, Kevin Dean, Marty Brodeur, Ken Danico, Bruce Driver, Scott Stevens, Scott Niedermeyer, all coming together. Tommy Aveline. But Marty Brodeur had a heck of a run. Getting by Boston, Pittsburgh, Ken Reggett. Remember that? Devils, they had a tough time against Pittsburgh when Pittsburgh went on their Stanley Cup runs with Mario Lemieux, early 90s. Remember that? And that series against the Flyers, let me tell you, Eric Lindros, who was the MVP of that year, that was a brutal series. That series was physically brutal. Do you remember when Brodeur chopped Dion in the back of the leg in front of the crease, game 1 of the Eastern Conference Finals? I do. Do you remember Claude Lemieux shutting up the Philadelphia crowd at the Spectrum? And then the Devils, They lost it there, and the series was tied 2-2. But it was Claude Lemieux, late third period. Wicked shot past Ron Hextall. And then the Devils, another chance at Game 6 Eastern Conference Finals, but only this time they knew what to do. They beat the Flyers and go to the Stanley Cup Finals against the Detroit Red Wings, who were in the Western Conference. Scotty Bowman being the head coach. Steve Yzerman, Sergei Fedorov. This was a stacked team, folks. Stacked team. They had everybody. Keith Primo, if you remember, they had everybody. Dino Ciccarelli, Paul Coffey. Who was in goal? I think it was Mike Vernon, if I'm not mistaken. I don't think Chris Osgood was there then. Maybe he was. I don't remember. Doesn't matter. And the Devils swept them. And swept them they did. Bringing the first cup to New Jersey, first professional championship trophy to New Jersey. And where were you? 27 years ago. 27 years ago. Alamato says Captain Crunch. I mean, I remember 2000 as well and 2003, but 95 had that redemption after what happened the season before. And then for years, it's amazing. Talk about the hypocrisy. And for years, everyone was like, oh, that was a half a cup because there was a lockout and it was a half a cup. But when Chicago wins it and, Tampa Bay wins it, it's suddenly not a half a cup, right? Suddenly, we all playing on the same rules. Half a cup, 48 game season, whatever. It was a shortened season. Collective bargaining agreement issues. But that's fine. But that Devils Stanley Cup, you can read it on pucksandpitchforks.com. Luke Garrison writing about what happened 27 years ago. And I'll tell you, it was an upset. The crash line that fourth line was exciting. It was brutal. But I'll tell you, that series against the Flyers, I mean, Scott Stevens versus Eric Lindros. Ron Hextall in that for the Flyers. And the games were on ESPN. And remember Glow Puck? I think the game was on Fox. Doc Emmerich with the call. Good friend of the podcast, Doc Emmerich, did the Fox call that game 4. But there were, I think the first 2 or 3 games were with ESPN. Gary Thorne and Bill Clement. Bill Clement, good friend of the podcast as well, calling those games. And they were just, I want to go back and watch. It's a different game back then. Back then, the rules were different. There was no trapezoid, no 2-line passing. The stupid Fox robot, says John in the Facebook Live. Yeah, I know. Yeah, it was an interesting time. But that championships are forever. Let's go over again. Championships are forever. Just showing everybody again the newspaper headlines. It's like going through a time machine just reading some of these articles. It was a beautiful day in New Jersey. I remember the weather was great. So those are my memories. Dropping the podcast at midnight for your morning and afternoon commute on Saturday. You can relive the Devils' first Stanley Cup in your car. And that's it for now. I'll be back tomorrow sometime for another edition of the Woo Report. Make sure you go to pucksandpitchforks.com. Read the articles. Great job what Nick Villano has done. And got some retweets on that Stanley Cup winning photo with the team. What a great team that team was 27 years ago today. I want to thank all those watching, listening in this Friday night. We'll be back Sunday edition of the Let's Go Devils podcast this Sunday at 9 p.m. Eastern. Also, State of the Fan address, 8:30 p.m. Eastern every Wednesdays. We're going to have some great stuff about the draft, prospects. I don't know. I think Montreal may be moving in on Logan Cooley, my boy. We shall see. Thank you very much. Remember the Devils' first Stanley Cup. Till next time, this is the Woo Report. Let's go Devils.